Well, if you follow this channel, you know we love our comic book history, and today celebrates Jimmy Olsen's comic book debut. And to kick in on the celebration, James Gunn has shared his official first look at Skylar Gisondo as the DCU Jimmy Olsen. Let's take a couple minutes to dive into the new look, what we think of him as Jimmy Olsen, and how important this character ultimately is to Superman. Now, in case you didn't know, today actually marks 83 years since Jimmy Olsen made his comic book debut, and Superman writer and director James Gunn has dropped a couple of pictures of the character on social media. Now, in case you didn't know, Jimmy Olsen made his first appearance in Superman number 13 way back on August 29th, 1941. Now, to be fair, this was the first time he was named. He actually appeared as Office Boy back in Action Comics number 6, but this is the day we celebrate his anniversary. Now, as far as the photos go, well, let's not beat around the bush and check it out. Now, honestly, Skylar was the fan pick, and by looking at this, you can understand why. He definitely has the look, the hair, and the smile to be Jimmy Olsen, and I think this character is going to be very important to James Gunn's DCU, and specifically to Superman. Now, the actor himself has been in a lot of stuff, picking up roles in Licorice Pizza, Booksmart, Vacation, The Righteous Gemstones, and The Santa Clara Diet. Now, I think this is huge for Superman because it's been a really long time since we've seen Clark Kent's friendship with Jimmy Olsen explored on the big screen. If you remember correctly, that photographer who was shot in the head at the very beginning of Man of Steel, who was really a CIA agent, that was Jimmy Olsen. So in Zack Snyder's world, we never got to know the character. James Gunn is a huge comic book fan, and it's very clear to me he definitely seeks to put the character front and center. Now, Jimmy Olsen has always been known as Superman's pal, and well, there's a good reason for that. Superman and Jimmy Olsen, well, and Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen are genuine friends, and Jimmy has always kind of embodied childhood innocence that gets him, well, into trouble, and that's where Superman comes in. He's definitely a grounding for Superman, and often finds himself in very human dilemmas. I'm really wondering how much they developed this character in the film. Obviously, this is just the first movie, so we have a lot of time to get to know the character, but we also know Rachel Brosnahan's Lois Lane is also front and center and being introduced, so we'll be curious the dynamic he's able to develop in this movie. One other question I have with Jimmy Olsen appearing in is Millie Alcock's Supergirl? Jimmy and Supergirl have a very unique relationship in the comics. Actually, Jimmy Olsen in early comics sort of brought Supergirl to life. That's a whole different story. But he does have a lot of traditional ties to the character, and I am absolutely wondering if Millie Alcock does appear, and that's what we're hearing. Well, her interactions with Skylar Gizondo's Jimmy Olsen should be something that helps develop all the characters. Now, one of my biggest questions is whether Jimmy Olsen will have that watch. Traditionally, in the comics, Jimmy Olsen has a special watch that only Superman can hear the tone from. And when he needs help, he presses the button and Superman saves the day. With James Gunn being such a big comic book fan, well, quite honestly, I do suspect we are going to get a lot more than just the character. And this classic element from the comics, well, I think it will be part of the film. In any case, I think Skylar was a great casting. I'm really glad James Gunn is giving us some looks at the character, and assuming this Superman film works, well, I'm hoping we have a lot of time as Jimmy Olsen. How this works out, well, we're going to have to wait and see.